Hello and welcome to Movie Mondays, because I have no one else to talk to. Oh, God. It's just these puppets everywhere. Why is this my life? Well, if you've been paying attention for the past several months, then you are all well aware that the Pixar sequel, Finding Dory, was released just a couple of days ago. Now, while I did go see it, who's ready for fish shipping? Which is a sequel for the hit film Finding Nemo. And, well, Pixar sequels have been hit or miss over the years. The Toy Story sequels did exceedingly well, surpassing the original in many ways, while the other sequels Pixar's cranked out, let's just say they weren't so popular. I'm not counting Monsters University in this because that was technically a prequel, but even that had its flaws. And the weird thing is that a lot of the directors behind the original film stated how they thought that their films did not need a sequel or a prequel added on to them. That the original film said all that there was to say. Like, take Pete Docter, for instance, the animated king of ripping your heart out these days. He made Monsters, Inc., he made Up, he made Inside Out. Yeah, he said all of those stories that they tied up nicely. He didn't think there was any need to add anything on or include any extra stuff onto it. So there you go. I give him props for that, for saying no more. And, with Finding Nemo, it also felt like one of those films that didn't really need anything added onto it. And when Finding Dory was announced, there was some, mixed reactions, and I was one of those people with mixed reactions because I grew up with Finding Nemo. I was a little tyke when that thing came out, and I had the whole thing memorized. I loved it so much. My poor parents suffered through toy reenactments of Finding Nemo. But, Pixar, they just make such strong standalone films. Why would they ever feel the need to make sequels? I can always go into the obvious answer of because, characters people know now are easier to get more money for product placement and, you gotta have the money. But there is a more in-depth history behind this phenomenon. And its name is Disney. That's right. Disney is the one originally responsible for there being Pixar sequels at all. Honestly, are we really that surprised? You see, after Pixar and Disney's original distribution deal ended, they needed to think about future years and a new contract. This was roughly around 2005 when this issue was being discussed, because at that time the whole film industry was in flux. Most movie theaters hadn't gone digital yet, which is crazy to think about now because everything's digital. And there were new distribution methods, a shorter wait time between a film's release and the time it goes out on DVD. I mean, just thinking about recently, Zootopia, didn't that come out in March and it's already out on DVD and that was like, what, a 2-month wait? What's going on? I mean, I'm not complaining, I love that, but man, I feel like I just blinked and all of a sudden I could own it. And before we go any further, just to let you know that I am not making all of this up or pulling it out of a Wikipedia article, because come on, you can't trust anything these days. All this information that I'm going to inform you guys right now is right here in this big fancy book, To Infinity and Beyond. I've had this for years. It has everything Pixar related up to, I think, Ratatouille or WALL-E. And the people that made this book were also people that work at Pixar, so the information's fairly accurate. And they know what they went through. So, at this point, Disney and Pixar were 50-50 partners since the beginning of Toy Story. The first one. Disney would take out a distribution fee and the rest would be split between the companies. Sounds decently fair enough, as most businesses work. However, Pixar was, more well-known at this point. People knew about how incredible the movies were, and, fairly enough, Pixar wanted less than half of the profits. I mean, come on. They were a growing business. They had new people coming in. They needed to pay them so they could feed their families and stuff. Makes sense to me. However, at the same time, there was a huge advantage to staying with Disney as well for distribution and marketing because, well, come on. Who knows how to market better than Disney? You know what I'm talking about. We are all victims to Disney marketing. We love it, but we are all victims to it. They do it very well. Which now leads to why any more Pixar sequels exist outside of Toy Story 2. While Pixar could say no to creating sequels, there was nothing in the contract that said that Disney couldn't make sequels. Now, Toy Story 2 was a different story. It began as a straight-to-video release, like most Disney sequels at the time, and then, almost at the last minute, it was decided to be placed into theaters, and that was still all Pixar, though. I mean, they did it all, and it was amazing. Love Toy Story 2. But both companies were interested in making a Toy Story 3 at this time, which is pretty cool, thinking about the history of Toy Story 3, which started off really as potentially Pixar breaking away from Disney. For this reason, Pixar wanted it to be placed into the Toy Story 3 contract that will be one of the up-and-coming films, along with their original products, but Disney didn't agree that Toy Story 3 was technically a standalone film, because it had that giant 3 at the end of it. Not a standalone, at least according to Disney at the time. And to make matters worse, Disney also announced during this situation that they were going to make sequels of all of the Pixar movies, with or without Pixar's participation. That means every Pixar film, from Toy Story to Cars, at this point, was open game for Disney to make sequels. Now, that may not sound so bad anymore, but let's keep in mind that during the 2000s, Disney didn't really have a good track record of their own standalone animated films, or any standalone films for that matter. The films that they were distributing at the time were great hits, don't get me wrong. I mean, come on, Pirates of the Caribbean, that was awesome. Chronicles of Narnia, that was awesome. But they were distributing it. They weren't actually behind any of that, filmmaking-wise. So, while those are great hits, let's see, how many of you remember Home on the Range, or Chicken Little, or gosh, I don't remember the other one that was really bad. It's so horrible, I want to erase it from my mind. We'll put a picture down here. Oh gosh, it's terrifying. Oh, why was that Disney? That didn't feel like Disney. Oh. My point is that Disney seemed to have lost its wonderful story formula during this time period. So imagine that Disney making the Pixar sequels. We could have had a lot more movies equal to Cars 2 if that happened. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad now, doesn't it? Luckily, there were some changes within Disney at the presidency and all of that, and they kept their partnership with Pixar, thank goodness. Now let's return to today. Toss away the history book. We're going back to today. Pixar has had a few hiccups in a couple of films, but that's okay. I would actually be worried if they didn't make a few mistakes from time to time. Their overall films are still fantastic, and they still resonate with more than just a child audience. And it's clear that they want to put that effort and devotion into their sequels as much as they do with one of their standalone films. So, does Pixar really need sequels? Well, technically no. But based on the set of circumstances, we're getting them anyway, and Pixar wants to make sure that these films are worthwhile. It's all too easy to just recycle characters and throw in a modest story and call it a day, wrap it up in a nice little production bow. But Pixar actually tries to do better than that with its sequels, and that's something that I can admire. And it's nice to know that Disney as well is also trying to do better, creating great stories and characters once more. Of course, we're just always going to forget about early 2000s Disney. Hey, that's it for this episode of Movie Mondays. I'll try to upload a little something every week, movie-related. But if you want to check out more short puppet art stuff, you can subscribe below or click on some of the playlist links below. And also, if you want to check out Chester's travel vlog, yay! We got one on Shine Mountain Zoo up there, and he'll be doing some more traveling and putting up some more stuff later in the summer. And also every Friday we have Lucy Let's Plays, where the cat pirate Lucy goes ahead and plays video games. So you can check out those playlists below. You can also subscribe if you want to. And hopefully I'll see you all next week. Yay! Whoa. Slow yourself there. I'm okay.